about ESS is because they're a safe place while my parents are gone at work, and it's fun and loving, and I love the teachers there. I love to play with my friends and talk with them every day, and I just love it. Thanks for having me at ESS.
So isn't that awesome? Thank you for having me at ESS. And it's so true. You know, we get thanked all the time for just doing what we're doing, right? We love hanging out with the kids. We love taking care of our families. And you know, I know some of you weren't here last year to witness, you know, everything that we did when we were first able to open June 15th. I just want to start the night off by praising my team for what they had to do and what they went through. And you know, we were the first program to be able to operate with students on campus. And we operated 12 hours a day for 66 days straight, where it was just ESS students and my staff. And everything was going great for summer, and we're having fun, and we're playing games. And then phase one rolled in, and we're like, okay, what's this going to look like? And so we had hundreds of kids, different grades, different schools, different teachers, different Zoom times, and my staff rocked it. They took their phones and set up different alarms for every kid. They named it with their kid's name, the teacher's name, so that the kids were able to succeed during distance learning. They made sure that every single kid was logged into their Zoom. They assisted Zoom, or when the kids were off their Zoom and had to do their work, they made sure that they went around and made sure everybody was succeeding, not falling behind. If there were students falling behind, they went up to the teachers and said, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Do you have extra worksheets for them? What can we do to get them caught back up? And you know, we were the only ones doing on-site learning, and very, very proud of that. Also, just the social, emotional well-being of the kids. Seeing the kids step onto campus that first day that we offered camp, and seeing them run onto the field, play, be kids, interact. It's been nearly 3 months since these kids have seen somebody outside of their family in person. And we talk about to this day of, you know, how they were starting to pull off their pranks, their jokes, and just being kids again. It was one of the coolest things I've seen in education in a long time. Which brings us to this past June. You know, I'm very, very proud of the product we were able to put out over the summer, and I thank you to those of you that were able to come out and witness it for yourself. We offered a 10-week program at Lakeside Middle School. We had 369 students registered, and we were the only district that offered field trips, let alone multiple field trips a week, and still keeping the cost low enough for all of our families to afford to take part. We took all of the elementary school students to Ski Beach, let them splash around in the water, build sand castles. You see the mermaid fins there. And you see everybody just smiling as wide as can be from ear to ear. Took all the middle school kids over to Mission Beach, let them splash around on the waves, catch some waves over there, and made sure that, you know, we adapted our schedules to the age range, made sure everybody was having fun. While we were on campus, we utilized 12 different classrooms, and each classroom was ran completely different. We made sure that the kids led the product. So as long as they were safe and having fun, we listened to what they want to do, and we made it happen. And again, safety was obviously our #1 priority. That entire time that we were on Lakeside Middle School campus, we had 0 positive COVID cases on campus. So a huge shout out to my team for keeping everybody safe and having fun during this past summer. In addition to thanking my team, I also want to talk and thank Amanda and her child nutrition team, keeping our kids' bellies full, providing breakfast and lunch, not only to my program, but to the summer school programs as well. Transportation, definitely could not have done any of the field trips without them. They've been over backwards to make sure we got to and from the beach safely and on time, while also juggling the ESY program and the LMS staff. They're phenomenal. We jump in there right as the bell rings on that last day, set up the classroom the way we need it, and Steve is just phenomenal with giving us what we need. So kudos to the LMS staff. Which brings us to the school year. Really, really, really proud to say that, our numbers are right there where they normally are. You know, just 1 million+ students, 1 million+ families, 1 million+ students, 1 million+ families, 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 1 milli LUSD enrollment being down a little bit from where it normally is, we're still right there about that 23 to 25% for ESS enrollment. So we're really proud that our numbers are climbing, and they're going to continue to climb. We still have families calling in saying that they need to register. And I feel that, they know that we offer so much more than just childcare. We don't roll out a couple of tennis balls and a football and say, okay, go have fun. We make sure that we improve on what we did the year before. We make sure that we bring in outside vendors, community members, and have them teach the kids things that they wouldn't normally get the opportunity to learn. We are constantly working with teachers, principals, counselors. If we notice that a student is falling behind in any one of those areas, we make sure we go to them and get them back on track. And this goes across every single one of the schools. And I think that we have a huge impact on the increase of school attendance. We get countless calls from parents that say, my placement in EAK or TK especially is dependent on whether or not you can get my kid into ESS. And we make sure that we don't have a wait list and that we can help out every single one of our families, whether it's elementary or middle school. And finally, again, we're just the liaison between the parent, the teacher, the principal. We want to make sure that every kid is set up to succeed. And we see these families face to face every single day, sometimes twice a day, before school and after school. And if we notice a student is struggling, we go up to whoever we need to go up to and talk to and get them back on track. A lot of times it goes the other way around. Maybe the teacher is having a hard time getting a hold of the parent. We'll make sure we bridge that gap between the school day and the after school program. Any questions?
Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, thank you, Jared. I just want to say great program for kids. I know, being a former principal, I really appreciated the 6 to 6, and I know parents really appreciate your program because they know that their kids are safe before and after school until they can pick them up. So thank you guys so much, and staff with Jared. Thank you for all the work you do for our kids.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thanks, Jared.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
I had the opportunity to go out and see Jared's program over the summer, and the kids were just having a blast, and they were so engaged in all of the activities that were planned. And if you haven't seen what he's done to the fire station, you really should go by and check it out. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you. And if we could have a moment of silence for the 20th anniversary of 9/11, we would appreciate that. Thank you. Trustee comments, Bonnie?
I'm not muted. I am muted. I'm unmuted now. Can everyone hear me? Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, that was it. And then, no, just enjoying the school year. My granddaughter's doing great at Winter Garden, so I'm a happy grandma.
I just want to take a brief moment to say thank you to everyone who came out, volunteered, or participated or attended. Sorry. Okay, am I back? Must be my connection. Better? Okay.
Well, I just want to extend my kudos and congratulations and thanks to all the teachers and principals at all the schools in the district for a good opening of schools. I know kids are happy to be back on campus and learning in person. So I think that's a big plus for all of our kids. And I appreciate all the measures that are being done to keep all the kids safe. So thanks again to all the hard work of also the district office staff and Todd, your guys too, for getting those schools ready for the kids. And so I think we're off to a good start this year. And I know the kids are going to learn a lot.
Andrew?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming on out for the Lakeside Rodeo and helping at the parade. And I want to give a shout out to Bonnie. She made all the food for the chamber after party on her birthday. So I want to thank Bonnie for that. And it was just great seeing all the kids having fun on the chamber floats. And it was just nice to be out celebrating our community. And I'm looking forward to visiting the sites and seeing all the kids in class learning and growing in education.
We're going to do it all again in April.
Thank you. I also want to give a big shout out to the entire staff, certificated and classified, for getting school going. And it's so good to have the kids back in school. The rodeo was fabulous. I was there Friday night at ushering, which was really, is always a lot of fun. And I was pleased to see that it was packed. It was full. It was great. So. Okay, now we have an opportunity for members of the public to address the board. Lisa?
Yeah, I'll pull in Aaron Clark.
Hi,
can you
Aaron.
hear me?
We can.
Fantastic. I'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. My name's Aaron Clark. I am a parent of a student at Winter Gardens. He's a kindergartner, and I echo what all of you just said about a truly phenomenal start to the school year. It just is going beautifully, and we could not be happier and look forward to many, many more years of the success that he is experiencing so far. I'm here tonight to speak about agenda item J, the request coming from parents that the school board act this evening to place air filtration units in every single classroom. I'm sure we all agree that our children deserve to breathe clean air and deserve safe and healthy schools. Unfortunately, the HVAC air filtration systems in our schools are not up to par to do that right now for our students. They do not function at the recommended MERV 13 standard recommended by the CDPH. That's not good just in general, but it's particularly not good right now in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic and the raging Delta variant. And so in response to learning that, many parents at Winter Gardens and Riverview organized before school started to crowdfund to donate filters, air filtration units to every single classroom at our schools. We got the thumbs up from the principal, who got the thumbs up from someone at the district. And then we got word from the district that you were rejecting those filter donations. And there was a lot of back and forth communication. And what came out of that was that parents were allowed to donate filters, but they were a much more expensive filter than what we had purchased. And the ones we purchased, by the way, are the ones in use in San Diego Unified, recommended by UCSD air quality scientist, Dr. Kimberly Prather. So we crowdfunded again to buy the more expensive filters, but with the new cost, it was prohibitive to getting them into every single classroom. And it really started a conversation among us about why isn't the district doing this? You all, in my email, I wrote to you before this that you received $10.5 million in COVID relief money. That was an error on my part. It's actually closer to 16 million because I omitted the ESSER 3 funds, which was the last batch of incoming federal funds. So if you look at the 3 ESSER grants that you got, the multiple learning loss mitigation funds that you got from the state, as well as the IPI and the ELOG grants, it's around $16 million. To put that in context, your projected budget for last year was $53 million. So this is about a 30% increase compared to a single year's budget. And I took a look at your unaudited actuals, which you're actually approving on your agenda tonight. And And it shows that you actually got $62 million with, you know, millions more to come in future years. And the good news is that the ESSER funds are explicitly earmarked to include projects to improve air quality in our schools. And I understand that you have already approved upgrading the HVAC systems, which is great. Hooray for you, I'm glad, but that doesn't do anything right now. The good news is there's a very easy solution. If you were to purchase one of the filters that you recommended for every single classroom in the district and put a replacement filter in them, it would cost about $100,000 for this year. That's less than 1% of the total incoming one-time money that you have. And the science tells us that improving the air quality is the single most effective thing you can do to prevent the spread of COVID. It's not wiping down desks. It's not upgrading the HVAC system in a couple of years. It's cleaning the air right now. And this is not just about keeping our students safe, although that's crucial. It's about keeping our schools open. The single most commonly cited factor for women in particular not returning to the workforce is lack of stable childcare. And I'm getting the, hey, there's COVID at your school emails already. Anything you can do to prevent the spread and keep schools open will support our economic recovery. And so I implore you, this is budget dust in the grand scheme of your overall budget. You have the money, you've got the directive from the feds and the state to use it to improve air quality. Please do so tonight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Erin.
It's going to be Kristen Beatty.
Hi, Kristen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kristen Beatty. Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm a parent of two children in the district, one at Winter Garden and one at Riverview, part of the larger Riverview International Academy. And I want to adopt and echo everything that Erin just shared with the board. In particular, the notes about the economic picture and also what impact the tiny ask in the scheme of things that these air purifiers would represent. I wanted to take this moment to just stress, I also want to echo the thanks to all the administration, teachers, and staff. I know the children are very happy to be back in school. At the same time, I want to note that this is, as we all know, an immediate problem and needing an immediate solution. HVAC improvements are desperately needed and will be a wonderful addition to the overall safety picture. But right now, COVID cases are growing in the school, as you know, from looking at your own dashboard. In particular, I obviously have a vested interest, but Riverview is at the height of the numbers, by large measure over every other school in the district. And, within a few days, and certainly over the last week or so, we've gotten very regular announcements of the COVID positive cases. So this is a very real, very immediate problem for us. And we're hoping and requesting in as strongest terms as we can and give you that, that you find an immediate solution to this. And we think we have found it. And while we're, I guess, myself a little irritated and frustrated, I'm also quite hopeful knowing that the money is there, which is often a challenge to educational improvements. And that's not a challenge that exists for this. I also want to just take this moment to make a pitch for an overall sort of refresh on our air filtration and ventilation approach. There are pretty easy fixes we can do in addition to this air purifier situation. The air purifiers and HVAC should be running at all times when there are students and teachers in the classroom. And as well, doors and windows should be open. Obviously, that's a no-cost solution that can be implemented immediately. If there's ceiling fans or wall-mounted fans, those could also be used to encourage air movement. We are requesting immediate action on the air purifiers. We know that the HVAC system is not accomplishing the recommended 5 air exchanges per hour. And we know that 5 air exchanges per hour means the air in the room is being changed about every 12 minutes. And a close contact for COVID transmission is about 15 minutes. So if we can change that air in under 15 minutes, we're in a better place to hopefully slow or stop the transmission of COVID. I also want to take a minute to touch on the equity piece. There's a very big equity and impact on the lack of these air purifiers. What Erin said about our crowdfunding and parent donations at Riverview and Winter Garden is not true for every classroom at Riverview and Winter Garden, and it's not true for every classroom in the district. So we come to you today as concerned parents for our own school, but also for the entire district, and wanting to be able to keep our schools open, to keep our teachers and staff healthy and our students healthy. I also see this as an issue, not only of something where the district can demonstrate its commitment to equity and inclusion, but also an issue of the health and safety and the collective well-being. This air ventilation and filtration is not just about COVID. That kind of focus is helpful for our bad air days when we have smoke, or and helps remedy allergic reactions as well. So I just request that you act now to protect our students, teachers, and staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kristen.
I didn't do that. Lisa Larson.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello, there we go. Thank you. First off, I'd like to congratulate Rhonda. The board made an excellent decision, and we, the students, staff, and families of the Lakeside Union School District, are lucky to have her. It is refreshing to have someone with roots in the community and a vested interest in our success. The future is very bright. Secondly, I wanted to address the indoor mask topic. A big thank you to Holly, Bonnie, and Dawn for not making the topic political, and instead focusing on what is best for our students and teachers. It is commendable that you stood firm in light of the heated outbursts from parents and other board members, and not only protected our students, teachers, and families, but followed the law. I appreciate you recognizing that the loudest, most belligerent voices in the room do not necessarily represent the majority. I'm so very happy to have you on the board representing our district's best interest. Andrew and Laura, you both have strongly advocated for opening our schools and keeping them open. The best way to ensure that our schools stay open is by wearing masks indoors. When you both became board members, you agreed to adopt the core values of the district, including being role models for our students and approaching the role with integrity and honesty. I don't consider advocating for breaking the law being a good role model or acting with integrity. Just because you don't like or agree with a law is not reason to violate it. This argument will not stand up in a court of law and opens the district to lawsuits. This is not a message that should be sent to our children, nor should you knowingly put the district at risk. Additionally, continuously going on the news to falsely represent your opinions as that of the district and spout nonsense about science versus political science only helps you, Andy, and certainly does nothing to support our district. LUSD should not be used to further your political ambitions. In closing, I trust Rhonda, Holly, Bonnie, and Dawn will continue to do what is best interest of the district's students, teachers, staff, and families, and keep everyone safe. You definitely have my support and the support of the majority of parents. Your decision is only bolstered by the recent reversals of the Alpine and Ramona school districts to mandate masks indoors at their schools. It is my hope that Andrew and Laura will reflect on the core values of the district and start making decisions on what is best for our district and the students, teachers, and families, instead of what is politically expedient. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
I will pull in Maria Osuna Mungia.
Hi, Maria.
Hi there. Sorry, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Oh, great. Okay. So hi there. My name is Maria Osuna Mungia. I'm a mother of a first grader at Winter Gardens Elementary. I wanted to speak up on agenda item J as well, the air purifiers in the classroom. I have no doubts that we chose the right language immersion program for our daughter. We do come from out of district and declined other immersion schools in the San Diego Unified School District when we made our choice. Making that choice was easy because we love the school we're sending our daughter to. But now with COVID, it's become kind of a scary decision. When we began preparing to start the in-person school year, it became evident that the district did not have the health of its students and teachers as a priority. It's very concerning that after over a year of COVID, our schools still have outdated HVAC systems with nothing in its place to address air quality. Even though I'm grateful that our parent community was able to come together in order to provide air purifiers for classrooms at Riverview and Winter Gardens, I strongly feel that this is something the district should have addressed prior to the beginning of the school year for all of its schools. This is a health issue as well as an equity issue. All students should have the right to attend school in person with the proper steps to reduce the risk of COVID exposure. Keeping our students and teachers safe is keeping our community safe. I hope that the board sees the importance of placing air purifiers in all of the district classrooms. That's something that has been done in our neighboring districts and has been proven by countless studies to be the most effective way to mitigate risk in classroom, along with masking and social distancing. This is just the tip of the iceberg though. Getting purifiers in the classroom should be the first step towards providing a healthy learning environment for our students and teachers. Updating our schools should be a priority for our community, and our children really deserve the best chance at a healthy and happy learning environment. And I really appreciate your time and listening in on our comments here.
Thank you, Maria.
Gladys Selfridge.
Hi, Gladys.
Hello, can you hear me? See me?
We can.
Perfect. Thank you for this opportunity. So I just want to echo what the prior speakers have all said, every single one of them. Really appreciate you sticking to the guns, keeping the mask, because I mean, it's been proven it's necessary, but like everyone else said, air filtration is a big thing as well. I have a daughter, kindergartner in Winter Gardens. She loves it. It's a little difficult at times, and a preschooler at in the LEAP program, which has been fantastic for her for the 1 week she got to go because they had to close due to a COVID positive case, which understand it happens, but very concerning, especially with the preschool program, because masks are not required. And I understand you can't force children to keep them on. Luckily, her classroom, the majority of people do keep the mask on from what I've observed. And sorry. And it's kind of an emotional thing because I do feel like I am putting her at risk. And that positive case was a single case, which was very lucky. But the air filtration is really subpar. Especially, I am especially concerned with the LEAP preschool program because the kids don't all wear masks. And I see it in the English speaking program too. The majority of the kids aren't wearing masks. And I am concerned for those kids as well, even though my child's not in that program necessarily. And the fact that there is not even the air purifiers that parents donate. And I find myself at odds of what's best for my child education-wise and what's best for her health-wise. So I really implore that when you're considering this, that you also keep that preschool program in mind, because it should be for all the children. And like everyone else has, or some other people have mentioned, it really is a equity thing as well. Some parents have donated for Winter Gardens and Riverview, but again, the other schools and other children should definitely be protected as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Crystal Grosvenor.
Hi, Crystal.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Crystal Grosvenor, and I'm speaking on item J, air purifiers in every LUSD classroom. Thank you for putting this on the agenda tonight and for making the meeting Zoom accessible. Because of the pandemic, surrounding districts have secured air purifiers in every classroom in order to keep students safe. Studies consistently show that being outdoors or having proper ventilation and wearing masks all help to prevent the spread of coronavirus. While Riverview Elementary and Winter Gardens families were able to expedite the implementation of this important safety measure, I am deeply concerned for all the other classrooms across the district that have below acceptable air filtration. This lack of proactive action on the district's part has led to a disappointing and unfair situation where most students are not getting that level of safety in our district. I'm concerned about our outdated HVAC systems and concerned about upgrading them in old trailers that have surpassed their recommended life for temporary classroom use. What can we do to upgrade our schools and classrooms to acceptable? I'll finish by saying that it was an intentional decision to be part of the Lakeside Union School District, and I am proud for my children to be educated in what I believe to be the best school district in the county. However, it is due to these concerns that my children are not in a Lakeside Union School District physical classroom right now. I urge you to find a solution for air purifiers in every classroom now. I urge you to implement district-wide guidelines tonight regarding open doors and windows when comfortable and possible. Encourage outdoor instruction when comfortable and possible. And I urge you to include the community to help find long-term solutions for upgrading our schools and classrooms. I sincerely hope that we aren't spending as much money upgrading our HVAC systems as we would be comparable to building new buildings. We need to act as if these children really are our future and lead by example. And I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Crystal.
Okay, our last speaker is Ariella Goldstein.
Hi,
Hello?
Ariella.
Hi. Sorry, one second. Okay, can we hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. Okay, so this isn't the first time that I've spoken at a board meeting. I'm a neighbor at the Eucalyptus Hills neighborhood, and first I just want to say that it's been months since we've had any true progress with our ability to access the field. And I know that this is a big issue for a lot of us here, and I know that there's a lot going on with COVID, but it is a part of the school district's responsibility to communicate with us, and we've just been feeling a little neglected. Thanks, Andrew, for staying in contact with me, but this has to be a board decision.
Makeup here,
And
home all day with the kids.
hello?
You're getting some feedback, but we can still hear you.
Oh, okay. I think someone else was talking. Anyways, thanks to Andrew. He suggested that we become a nonprofit so we could accumulate funds from the to help us pay for the Facilitron budget. But unfortunately, it sounds like a great idea. However, to become a nonprofit is very long and lengthy process. We need an attorney, we have to talk to an accountant, startup fees, laws, a board. We would basically have to become you, and it's not worth it when we already pay taxes, which contribute to the school, the field, and the existing board. I know that your goal in putting up the higher fence was to protect the grounds from vandals and delinquents, but putting up a taller fence doesn't stop the bad guys from jumping in. It stops the good guys from using the field. Me, my friends, our neighbors, we are the good guys, and we feel neglected, used, and a little manipulated into having to pay for something that we have every right to use for free for a leisurely activity and just fun everyday few hours with our friends. We were told that we could use Facilitron to reserve the field and that we would need to purchase insurance. A neighbor tried to reserve the field a few weeks ago for 1 hour for 5 days, and it came out to over $200, which is unacceptable considering that I've told the board many times that we are there for multiple hours, and paying $10 an hour even is lengthy. But on top of that, we'd have to also pay insurance, which just doesn't seem right. So my conservative value of over $2,000 a year last time when I spoke can now jump up to $70,000 a year if we reserve the field for 1 hour for 350 days out of the year, because like I've said, we're there every single chance that we get. If we have to purchase insurance every time, and that's insane. That's more money than I make in a year. And I don't think any of you would like to pay that much to use a park that's 5 minutes from your doorstep. A neighbor of mine spoke to her friend who's an insurance agent, and they said that our homeowner's insurance actually covers us on the field. So therefore, I don't understand why we would have to pay on Facilitron for more insurance if we're already covered. And I know that the school has their insurance, so it seems that everyone is covered. And just regardless, like, I'm just really extremely disappointed in the way that this board is handling a very easy situation that could be mitigated very quickly if you would just allow the neighbors who love and respect that field to use it. We've been using it for free for 30 plus years. People in this neighborhood paid to put the grass on that field. We pick up every single poop that we see. We keep our dogs contained. We allow the elderly to do their laps. We let people exercise. There's people who picnic. We've been very patient and respectful, and we're trying to communicate as best as we can, but it's kind of reaching a tipping point. So I would just appreciate if the board could speed up the process and give us access back to the field. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariella. Thank you to everyone who spoke. We will now welcome Rob Harding to present us with some historical lakeside memorabilia. Here you go.
Wanted to tell you the Lakeside Historical Society is going to turn 50 years old next year, so we're kind of excited about that. Lakeside itself started in 1886, and very quickly after that, the schools started at Lakeside. And we have a very long and fascinating history at Lakeside, and the schools are very much a part of that. We actually have a book that was put together by some of our senior ladies that are unfortunately no longer with us, but Edna Coons, you may have heard of it. And she put this school book together, and we sell it in our gift store. And it's a very interesting book about Lakeside and the schools at Lakeside. So what we wanted to do is kind of celebrate our new superintendent and tell the board here that we support you and we want to work with you as we have in the past. And Rob had this wonderful idea about how we could maybe symbolize that. And he's going to talk a moment about this photograph here, but we would like to present this to you tonight. Let me turn this over to Diane for a couple of words.
Thank you for inviting us to be here. I have found that working at the Historical Society, while I am not currently a resident of Lakeside, my roots are here. It is so amazing to see the interconnectedness of so many people in this community. And that's a little bit about what the Historical Society wants to promote. that you may have wandered away from Lakeside, but you are always a part of Lakeside. And we also find it very important that we share the historical part of our little town with the students of Lakeside. And many of you are aware that each June we have what we call Living History Days, and we invite third grade classes to come and be part of a hands-on participation, learning about the community and what it was like around the turn of the century. I have been in education, retired, but it's the highlight of my year because I love talking with the students and asking them one fun question. What do you think children did before they had computers and electricity? And most of them just stand there and look like that would be the strangest thing that they'd ever heard of. So if you would ever like to come visit us for Living History Days, you're certainly welcome to do that.
Take it away, Rob.
Okay, we were at our board meeting one day and we found out that one of our life members of 5 years became superintendent of our schools. So we got excited. And so we were figuring out, well, how are we going to give her some sort of gift to come in? So it just so happened this picture, which we haven't seen one of this kind, there's other years, but this picture came in at the exact same time. And we accepted in the archives and we all thought, so Rhonda's coming in to take care of our K through 8 kids. Why couldn't we cleverly give her a picture where a K through 8 school was all in one place? So you got your staff in K through 8 right here. A really neat man named Jim Mueller donated this to us, and he's going to donate some other details with this. But he went through the Lakeside schools and he retired as a senior civil engineer for the city of San Diego, coming from our schools. And we're going to have this framed and it's going to go in the think tank room. And when that does happen, Diane has a little bit of a puzzle for you guys when it comes back for you all to try to figure out. And we're just so happy to have Rhonda as a superintendent. And this is our gift right here.
Do you want to know the question? If we haven't done this, but if we were to count all the students that were enrolled, this is the whole district, how many there are and how many more you serve now in this current day and age, it would be interesting to see how this community has grown.
So when it goes to the think tank, you can all start.
And there's a little bit of discrepancy here with the actual year this was taken. It actually says 1949 on it, but we have some information that might be 1946. So that's one of the things we do at the Historical Society. We're going to lock that down so you guys know. But this is, in any case, it was a long time ago.
Thank you guys so much. I'm so honored, and it's going to be amazing to have that here. And it's actually outside of the think tank in a hallway, so we can walk by and see the whole show as we're looking at it. So I'm just really, really appreciative.
Thank you so much for coming and for the picture.
Thank you for your time.
We'll bring it back and do a little.
Oh, I have to get it back to you.
Yeah, we're gonna hang it on a little while.
Awesome.
And now we will hear from Cesar Morales to introduce and welcome some new employees to the district.
Absolutely. Good evening, trustees and Lakeside residents, it is my pleasure to introduce and share with you our newest members of our certificated employees. And just a little footnote, compared to last year we were introducing 8 new certificated staff members. Compared to this year, I will be introducing 21 new certificated staff members. And this is in direct correlation to, we had, I believe, 11 retirees last year, and as well as added some new positions. So welcoming 21 new certificated staff members throughout all of our schools. And so we have Mr. Armando Alvarez Rico, who's over at an SLP over at Lemon Crest. Chelsea Bertrand, teacher with our Home Flex program. Kelsey Brannon with another teacher at Lemon Crest. And we have Cheryl Brown with the Lakeside Farms team. Andrew Cable teaching science over at Lakeside Middle School. Deborah Kapp, RSP teacher, who is an itinerant between Riverview and Lakeview Elementary. We have Tyann Colin, Lakeside Farms, RSP teacher. Kendall Elliott, also Lakeside Farms teacher. And then at Tierra del Sol, RSP teacher Susan Hartley. Jamie Barber with the Lindo Park team. Beverly Jimenez has joined us here at the district office as a coordinator of curriculum and assessments. Audrey Lent, teacher, Lakeside Middle School, I believe teaching the ag science classes. Cindy Morehouse, Lakeside Farms teacher. Mr. George Morse, SDC teacher at Lemon Crest. Cindy Myers, teacher at Lakeside Farms. Andrea Preciado, teacher at Lindo Park. Rachel Radcliffe, Lakeside Farms. And we have a counselor, Lakeside Farms, Kelsey Sutton. And Rena Tansen, SDC teacher at Lindo Park. Ashley Wyatt, Lemon Crest teacher. Another Lindo Park teacher, Hannah Sprague. And Lindsay Bird, teacher at Lindo Park. Douglas Robbins, TDS. Denise Beals, new district nurse. And I believe we have one more, Lena Cade, teacher at Lakeside Farms. So help me welcome them as new members of the Lakeside community, Lakeside team. And I look forward to introducing at upcoming board members our new classified team members. So there you have it, board members, our new class of 21-22.
Thank you very much, and stick around because you and Dr. Winspear will be presenting the COVID information.
Good evening, members of the board. I am going to give you all a quick update. Cesar and I, sorry, I don't know, where is my present button? Why does this happen? There it is. I see it. Okay, so sorry. I am here to present a quick update on where we are at with COVID for the first month or so of the school year, share with you some numbers and some of the mitigation strategies that we continue to implement to do our very best to keep our students and our community safe while they are at school. So far this school year, we have been, just like we did last year, we've been tracking our COVID numbers. And so these numbers go from the first day that staff returned, which is August 17th, until earlier this week on September 9th. These are the numbers for these dates. We have had 62 positive COVID cases amongst our students, 11 amongst staff members, with a total of 73 COVID positive cases in the district since we opened school. And then I also have here the number of close contacts that are related to these cases in school. So in other words, we often have families calling in saying my student has been a close contact in the home or in the community. We are not reflecting those numbers. Those numbers would make this even higher. What we're reflecting here are among those 73 positive cases, how many close contacts were identified within the school setting. So we've had 224 students that have been identified as close contacts since we opened school, 35 staff members, with a total of about 259 close contacts in the school setting since we opened school. Of those 259, I think it's important to note that only 12 of the positive cases that we currently have reflected in these numbers are presumed, because we have no way of proving it, and we're communicating with public health and they're helping us to identify what we would consider to be an outbreak, which is 3 cases that are linked together. So we have 12 positive cases that are presumed to be a result of close contact in the school setting. And that includes 2 confirmed outbreaks that we have, again, where we have 3 cases or more that are believed to be linked. We've had 1 at Lakeview and 1 at Lemoncrest. Thankfully, we had decided early to close both of those classrooms due to the number of close contacts. So as additional students in those classrooms were identified as positive, we didn't have to do additional contact tracing in our setting because those classes had already been closed. So hard decisions to make whether or not to close classrooms, but in this situation, we made some good decisions early on. So how many classes have we closed so far this year? We have closed 5 classrooms. We closed an SDC class at Lindo Park. We closed another SDC class at Lakeside Farms, a kindergarten class at Lakeview Elementary. We did close a tuition-based preschool class at LEAP, and then also a special day class over at Lemoncrest. As you can see, 4 of these class closures are already over. Kids are back in class, and 1 we're going to be welcoming back in the very near future next week. Finally, students who have reported having symptoms, we've had, or students and staff, we've had 298 students who have reported having symptoms that were COVID, were not necessarily COVID, but were symptoms that are associated with COVID. So they were asked to quarantine at home in most of these situations because most of our students are not, pardon me, don't know why that happened. Most of our students are not vaccinated. And then we have 19 staff who have reported having symptoms associated with COVID, with a total of 317 instances of folks reporting symptoms. And then this is the last slide that I'm sharing. It's related to mitigation. When we participate weekly in the telebriefing, Public Health does an education sector telebriefing weekly, where they give us updates, and every single week they put this slide up because their goal is to remind us that it takes many layered mitigation strategies to prevent the spread of COVID in schools or in the community. And not any one mitigation strategy is not perfect. So they always call it the Swiss cheese analogy. Each mitigation strategy has holes in it. It's not going to work on its own. So it's just incredibly important for us to be layering our mitigation strategies on top of each other so that the more we have in place, the better we are going to do at stopping the spread of COVID. So of course, we are continuing with our hand washing and sanitizing in all of our schools. We are physically distancing as much as we can, having all students back in the classroom. We are making the most of outdoor time. We are wearing face coverings when we are inside. We're continuing with our contact tracing efforts. And we are working on bringing some testing systems into the district as well, so that we have that one additional layer of getting timely information about positive cases in the community. So I'm going to hand it over to Cesar.
And so trustees and Lakeside community, my goal here is to go over, and Natalie, if you can go back one slide, please, to go over some of the impact that not only COVID related absences by our employees, whether it's they're symptomatic, they tested positive, or they're providing childcare because their child is either a close contact, symptomatic, or has tested positive. But really trying to shed a little bit of light on these first 15 days of this academic year, just the absences that we're seeing. And again, when I'm capturing this data, I just want to underscore that this data represents both absences due to COVID related, close contact, symptomatic, or testing positive, and childcare because a child has COVID or symptoms or has been a close contact. It also includes other absences such as personal necessity, sickness, vacation in the case of classified employees. But what it does not include is we have several positions that are still vacant. We haven't been able to fill those positions, and we're still flying the position, posting the positions, trying to get employees to, recruit employees to fill those positions. So it does not include any vacancy. It is just absences. And then the third part I want to go over would be when it comes to substitute need, in particularly with our teachers, I want to go over what is our fill rate. Because you may have heard, there are times where principals are taking over classes, or our learning loss mitigation teachers who are hired to provide intervention are taking over classes and therefore not providing the service that they were contracted for. So my goal here is just to kind of give you a look under the hood with regards to our absences. Let's see here. Next page, please. So I've taken a snapshot of the first 15 days. So we started on Thursday, August 19th, and then it goes through today, Thursday, September 9th. And what you see in the goldish color would be our certificated staff. And then in more of the bluish grayish color is our classified staff. And so if you look at the range on any given day, we have between 29 on the low end and 68 absences on the high end. And not all of these positions require a substitute, but some of these positions are extremely critical. I'm going to reference a neighboring school district that recently had to just shut down completely the bus routes because there were some absences necessary, and therefore they needed to close down the bus service. So there are some very critical positions out there that we don't have the ability to backfill. So here on the low end, we have about 29 absences. On the high end, which would have been Friday, September 3rd, we had 68 employee absences. And again, this covers COVID-related absences, personal necessity, our staff members, our parents, they're taking care of their kids as well. So it's a variety of reasons. Next, Natalie. What I want to point out here is specifically our certificated staff substitute fill rates. So if we look at the very first, day one, August 19th, we had a 0% unfilled rate. That means 100% of the positions that of the certificated positions that needed a substitute had a substitute in place for that day. And I differentiate because there are some certificated positions such as a counselor that we don't normally get a substitute for. Okay, so we did well first day and second day. We had 8 and 7 certificated absences. We were able to get the necessary number of substitutes to plug in. But then on day 3, August 23rd, we had 14 certificated absences, of which 12 needed a substitute to backfill the position, but we were only able to get 7. So that meant 42% of the positions went unfilled, and those unfilled positions were essentially backfilled again by a principal or a learning loss mitigation teacher who then don't provide the service that they were hired to do. So something goes undone on those particular days. And then you go through the rest of the days. Day 4, we had 17% unfilled rate. Day 5, 17% unfilled rate. Going on to the next set of 5 days, a 27% unfilled rate on day 7. And then this last final 5 days, can you switch to the, we range between, 100% on yesterday. We were able to fill all the positions. Where day 15 today, we had a quarter of the positions that needed a substitute not have one. And so you can imagine our principals, our front office staffs, our HR department, everybody's trying to work hard to try to backfill these positions because we want our students getting a great service, getting a great education, but the resources are slim. And this isn't just in particular to Lakeside Union. This is across the county, the shortages we're seeing. And so on the final page, I just listed out just some overarching impacts. Our teachers, our principals are being called in to fill in unfilled positions. We've experienced this last week where we were hoping to release teachers to work together on refining and building curriculum, taking advantage of some professional development, but we've had to put all those things on freeze because we got to get to, at the very least, being able to have the operation function. And then, there's this continuous challenge to fill these positions requiring substitutes. So, there's a lot of shout outs going out earlier, and I want to give a huge shout out to our front office teams at our schools, Kelly Morton in HR. There's a lot of work and a lot of navigating taking place, and I just want to acknowledge that. So I just wanted to, again, for trustees, Lakeside community, here's a little bit of some of the activity that is being impacted directly by COVID, and then a shortage of staffing.
Any questions? Thank you to Cesar and Natalie. Okay, Aaron Garcia will present the unaudited actuals.
Okay, we are done closing the books for last school year, for the 2021 school year. And so tonight we are seeing the results of that closing of the books, and it's called the Unaudited Actuals Financial Report. First of all, I'd like to give a huge thank you to the entire business office team. Summer is the absolute busiest time for the business office. We work the entire month of July and August closing the books. It literally takes that long. And in particular, I want to thank the finance director, Shannon Johnston. She leads the team to close the books, and thankfully she is a CPA, so she knows exactly how to do all the accounting correctly. There was a lot of new governmental accounting standards boards, accounting rules that were new this year, and she knows exactly how to treat them all. So thank you very much to our team. This is the final look at the 2021 budget year. We're at the end of the reporting cycle for that year. In our general fund, we brought in a total of $63.7 million in revenues. Vast majority of that, as always, comes from the local control funding formula. Although this year, it is a smaller portion of the pie because of the additional federal and state COVID funds that were given to schools. And we always want to take a snapshot of what our estimates were for revenues and where we actually ended up. So this kind of walks us through that. Unfortunately, this year we like to be much more accurate than this. Normally we were able to hit revenues about 99% accuracy in our budgets. However, I alluded to this last month. The state changed the accounting rules on how we recognize revenue for the COVID funds that are coming in. So you can see when we closed the books in the federal and state revenue sources, we actually had to reduce the revenues. So in the middle of July, the California Department of Education sent out new rules for all school districts, said you cannot recognize those revenues until you actually spend those funds. When we finally closed, we're recognizing about almost $6 million less revenues than we had originally estimated in our last budget projection. And moving on to expenditures, we spent $61.7 million last year. And as always, the vast majority of that, about 84% spent on salaries and benefits for our employees. So when we look at the expenditure changes from what we were estimating to where we actually closed the year, we spent less, you can see, in almost every single category. And this is also, again, just part of COVID. Our operations are different than they are in the past. It's hard to look at and gauge exactly how we're going to spend things. The school sites are, focused on other things. They weren't able to spend as much. So you can see the largest difference is in our books and supplies categories, mainly at school sites, that they weren't able to spend as much as they had originally planned to.
And the only place where we had an increase in spending is in capital outlay, and that is primarily from the maintenance department. Instead of, they were able to reduce the amount of spending in other categories like supplies, and instead at the end of the year did some fencing and asphalt projects that are categorized as capital outlay expenditures. So this is what our bottom line looks at as we close the 2021 school year. And it's black all the way across. That's a good thing in the year, in the black. Particularly in our unrestricted portion of the budget, we had a slight surplus of $197,000, ending the year with 15.92% reserves. At this time of year, we always like to give the board a snapshot of where we've been in terms of our general fund ending balances and reserve percentages. I have up here the last 6 years, and we've been pretty consistent. Our reserves have ended between 14.8 and 16.3% over the last 6 years, and this year ending at 15.92, kind of right in the middle of where we've been recently. Wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about our COVID funding that we received and the expenditures that we have made so far. For revenue, so the first bar shows that we, in total, across multiple fiscal years, we're going to be receiving about $15.6 million of COVID relief funds. In last year, we spent about $4.8 million. This year, we're planning to spend a little over $5 million, and then in the subsequent 2 years, we'll spend about the final $5.7 million. And this chart shows all the different categories of expenditures that we're using on COVID funds. It has been a puzzle piece to put together. There are 12 different funding sources that we're receiving from federal and state sources, lots of different names, lots of different rules for each of them. We're keeping track of them each individually. So I'm just going to kind of go through here and focus on the first column. That's what we spent last year. By far the largest category, $1.1 million, was spent on devices and connectivity for our staff and our students. And that was primarily for last year when we were in full distance learning and hybrid instruction, to make sure everyone was connected, whether they were at home or at school. Significant amount of funds were also spent for salaries to support our staff. Some of that was additional staff that was brought on to support, and some of it was stipends and extra pay for existing staff to take on and recognize in negotiations with our bargaining units, recognize additional workloads that was brought on, like extra attendance tracking that was brought on because of COVID. Also spent significant portion of PPE, personal protective equipment, of over $432,000 there. And then, as many of the speakers spoke to tonight, I just wanted to also highlight that we do have an improvement of our HVAC systems with ESSER 3 funds coming up, and you can see that in the third column there. And we have a little over $4 million allocated to help improve those HVAC systems. And I also wanted to remind the board that outside of our funds that we manage here at the district, several years ago, the board decided to open an OPEB trust account that is for other post-employment benefits. It is the only place that as school districts, we are allowed to keep funds outside of the county treasurer's office so that it can hopefully earn a higher interest return rate, so that we can save some money to pay for the future costs of retiree health benefits. So this is a snapshot of our account at the end of June. We have our trust fund is with CalPERS, and it's called a CERT fund, California Employers Retiree Benefit Trust. We've put a couple times we've made contributions there. We've made an initial contribution of $500,000, and we've made subsequent contributions. The expenses in this account, one of the reasons we chose this CalPERS trust account is because the expenses are very, very low.
And you can see we've had phenomenal interest earnings over the last 3 years because the stock market is doing so well. We are in the Strategy 1 fund. It is expected to have a rate of return of about 7% annually, but you can see we've achieved greater than that, which is awesome. We have a 12.4% return rate, and we have total assets of just under 900,000 now in that account. So I wanted to let you all know that. In addition to the general fund, the district operates 9 other funds. Most of them are very small, have almost no activity in them. But these are 3 of our funds that have the most transactions in them. I just wanted to go over them briefly. First, we have our Child Development Fund. This is where we keep track of all of our ESS and preschool programs funds. And as you know, we had some hiccups in those programs this year. COVID significantly changed the operations of ESS and preschool. And we had to make some very tough decisions, particularly in our preschool program, to downsize those programs with less students that we were able to serve during COVID. So there is an asterisk there on the revenues. Want to point out that the general fund did have to make a contribution of $200,000 to keep that preschool program going this year. But after that was done, overall, they ended up with over $100,000 with an ending fund balance of about $1 million. Our cafeteria fund had a huge turnaround this year. As you know, it had been losing money for many years in a row. However, we were able to take advantage of the different way and the different program that we were serving this year. We did that drive-through program. The federal government was giving free meals to all children, and we were able to take advantage of those extra reimbursements we were receiving while we were able to keep our staffing at the same level to serve those higher number of meals. So huge turnaround. This fund netted over $800,000 this year, and so that is boosting their ending balance significantly. And then finally, we have our bond fund. You know, we have multiple large bond projects in process, and we're spending down bond proceeds from previous years. We spent almost $7 million on all of our projects this year, leaving a balance of a little over $5 million to finish out those projects this school year. So what's next for the budget? The budget is a continuous cycle. These are the unaudited actuals. And now what happens is our auditors come in. They're coming in the week of October 4th, and they will come in and review everything that we did and make sure they're materially accurate. And then they will present us with an audit report by December 15th. And in the meantime, we will shift our focus to the current year budget for 21-22 and the next school year and the next 2 school years, so we can see where we're projected and we can make good decisions about that. That's all. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Erin.
Usually it's pretty small. They have 3 or 4 people come in and sit here all week, Monday through Friday, all day. Yeah.
Okay. I need a motion to adopt the unaudited actuals.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now, we pursuant to Government Code 3547A regarding the initial bargaining proposal from the Lakeside Teachers Association to the Lakeside Union School District for the 2021 school year so that negotiations may commence. We're opening that public hearing. Is there anyone to speak to that? Lisa? I think not. It's just for information. We don't need to vote. Also, we need to have a public hearing with regards to the side letter of agreement for the Lakeside Teachers Association to the Lakeside Union School District regarding impacts and effects of AB 130 for the 2020-21 school year. 2020-2021 school year so that negotiations may commence. That one's also for information only. We will open another public hearing pursuant to Government Code 3547A regarding the initial bargaining proposal from the Lakeside Union School District to the Lakeside Teachers Association for the 2021-2022 school year. So negotiations may commence. And that one we do need a motion on.
Yeah, I so move that we approve
Okay.
the initial proposal to commence with negotiations.
You have a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay, and now we have the consent agenda. Would somebody like to designate the items of business on the consent agenda?
I will designate the items to this consent agenda.
Do we have a second? Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And now we will approve the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody wants to pull?
I'd like to pull 4.5.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Would you also like to make the motion to approve everything but 4.5 while you're at it? You know.
Sure.
So move then. And we'll have a second. All right. All in favor of approving all but 4.5?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay, let's talk about 4.5 because the donations to the district are always awesome. Andrew?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all the folks who made a donation, and particularly the Kiwanis Club. I'm a member of the Lakeside Kiwanis Club, and so I wanted to thank my club members for all their hard work packing the backpacks and bringing them to the schools, and of course everybody else who donates to the district. We all appreciate it, and I just wanted to thank you all.
And especially also the Stadium Association who donated, even though we didn't get to have a rodeo last year, but now we had one and we'll have another one in April. So that's. Excellent. So would someone like to make a motion to approve 4.5?
I will make a motion to approve 4.5.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. That's all this. Okay, we will have the action item for parents have requested that an action to allocate COVID relief funds to purchase an air filtration unit for every classroom in the district immediately be placed on the board agenda pursuant to Education Code Section 35145.5 and Board Bylaw 9322, subject to the approval of the superintendent and the board president. Any member of the community may place matters directly related to business of the district on the agenda of open meetings. So would anyone like to talk about that?
Maybe it would be appropriate if we had staff provide some additional
Okay.
context for us on
That would
some
be-
of their
That would
recommendations.
be great. Aaron, do you have something on that? Or Todd? Is Todd on? Oh, Todd's here. There he is. He's hiding behind Lisa. Todd. Is there anything? Go ahead, either one of you.
Sure. So we haven't had a lot of time to dig in deep and look at different types of air purifier systems. Lots of different ones that our neighboring school districts are using in their classrooms. We do have an initial recommendation based on some models that Chula Vista Elementary has put in. If we were to use those, we project the costs to put those in all the classrooms plus one replacement filter would cost about $140,000. And so we've done some initial research and look into that, but haven't had time to do any kind of more extensive look at it.
I was just wondering, do most districts around us have these additional purification systems in their classrooms? Do we know, Todd?
Our surrounding districts, Santee does have something like that. Cajon Valley does not. So I think the biggest thing that we're doing is really focusing on our long-term solution. And really, looking at spending the money so that we can accommodate these more 13 filters. We can provide that more of a long-term solution than just a short-term solution. They're going to require a lot of small maintenance. They're small appliances, basically. So there's going to be a big impact on your maintenance of changing filters and keeping those little, it's a very small box that you're going to be talking about. So I think you're going to see an impact of a couple of things maintenance-wise. Filter changes about every 5 months. But I think the bigger picture is looking at the overall replacement of the entire city.
Because I see in the third year that we've got the $4 million thing to put the HVAC. Is that HVAC at all the schools, or do all the schools even need them? Do some of them have proper?
We've done upgrades at only one of our sites, so we basically need upgrades at all balance of our sites.
So would TDS need these purification systems?
They will. There's some additional work that we're going to be doing at Tierra del Sol. So you will see.
I know, I was there all those years with no windows and no. So
right. So what we did at Tierra del Sol was we basically went 1-to-1 on the classrooms. It used to have an HVAC system that one unit would provide air to multiple rooms, so a zone system. And we went 1-to-1 package units for the classrooms. So that helped a lot. So you're not exchanging air from rooms to rooms. But there are some power exhaust things and some additional devices that we're going to add to those systems that we bought.
Well, it seems to me like if we got funds to do mitigation devices, and then in the slides that we saw earlier were the more mitigation devices that we have, including masks and air ventilation system. It's too bad we didn't have that ventilation in the first year. I think we could have saved this money. But I know it takes time to put in the other HVAC systems. But if it indeed, I don't want to. Are we just putting a Band-Aid, and then eventually we're going to have a system that's.
Well, these air purifiers are definitely not a long-term solution.
No.
And I one thing that I can add that I've had at my office several phone calls. We've heard from some parents about wanting them. We've also had phone calls about parents not wanting them.
Because of the ionization?
Ionization, I mean, everybody has a study or an opinion on additional air filtration in classrooms. So you do have parents, we haven't reached out to those parents, but you still have those parents as well.
And one last question, and I'll stop bugging you. The ones that were donated, are those in use now? Are they given back to the parents? Or?
I believe that they
I
actually.
believe they are in use, but they're just not at every classroom, but in some of the
So
classrooms, some of the classrooms at
Gardens
Riverview.
and Riverview, they are in use, because I think we got some kind of communication from a parent saying that they were taken, the district said yes and then pulled them back and said no.
Yeah.
And so,
We did not install or remove anything from any classrooms.
But they are in use in some of the classrooms.
We originally said no because of the particular model that they had selected was only appropriate to clean the air in approximately 300 square feet. And all of our classrooms are at least 960 square feet.
Right.
We said no because we wanted to let them know that it wasn't going to clean as effectively as maybe they thought it would. And then we recommended a model that is appropriate for about 1,000 square feet.
And so you haven't gotten any of that.
But it does cost more, as the parents spoke to tonight, the
So that's why they came back with the proposal tonight.
proposal, because they weren't, I think they weren't able to donate it for the higher price. I want to let the board know too that we have been working on a very extensive energy utility savings project for quite some time, well over a year. I want to let you know that the HVAC $4 million that you saw set aside there is not all that it was going to cost. This is going to be a very large project. We are going to upgrade lighting across the district, HVAC, it will include roofing, and it will include solar. And we are tomorrow morning, Todd and I are meeting with the consultants that we've been working with, and they are they've done their full assessments. They've done site visits at every single site, and we're going to do the final scope, and they're going to put the funding package together tomorrow, and they're going to present at your board meeting in October, and you'll see the full scope of that project to see all of the upgrades that are going to be included. We are using the remaining amount of our bond funds, and we're coupling that with these ESSER 3 funds. And then we do believe in order to finish everything, there will be a small portion of financing needed as well.
Well, in the interim, I'm not hearing any negatives to putting these devices in all of our classrooms. I know $140,000 is a lot of money, but it concerns me when that mom said she's keeping her kids out because we don't have the devices. And when we want kids to come to our schools and we want to enhance the learning environment and make sure it's safe, I don't know, I think it might be even though it's a costly expense, an expense that's worth it in the interim for the next year or year or so till we get the other HVAC systems in that are working. I don't know what the other, I'm the only one talking about it. What do the other board members think?
I personally don't have enough information on them yet, because I'm just hearing about it today. So, I mean, I'd like to talk to some of those teachers that have them in their classroom already. You didn't install them, so that means that the parents just handed them over to the teachers and the teachers put them in the classroom. I have a lot of questions. I'd need more information before we spend $40,000?
Yeah.
Can we get a little more information? At the October meeting?
You know, maybe too, what we could consider is certainly maybe bringing some more information and then maybe taking a look at some of the data at each site. For example, let's say that a certain site, it may have an outbreak, and we can prioritize sites where we know that the numbers are showing there's higher cases, so that we'll be able to, I mean, I don't know, I want to sort of see, maybe there's some stuff we can talk about and flesh out more of this so that we can get.
Huh? You mean like moving around? Like,
Well, either that, or maybe it wouldn't necessarily need to be every school all at once. Maybe it could just be, let's say there's a site where we know right now the numbers are higher for cases and things of that nature.
Well, it would be nice to know too, the efficacy, like there are schools without these devices versus schools in the rates of transmission of COVID. But it seems like in the report of the COVID report that we got earlier, a lot of the classrooms were like the RSP kids, where I'm assuming it's hard to keep masks on kids in the RSP classrooms. And those classrooms definitely, I think anything else that we could do to help mitigate. And like you said, maybe TDS doesn't need them because they have, and then the encouraging of classrooms whenever we can to take kids outdoors. You mandatory PE minutes, the science you could take outdoors. You could do a lot of breaks where kids get to go outside and take the masks off and do other things. And so if we could encourage teacher, I know the weather right now is so stifling. You can't be opening windows and doors a whole lot, and then it totally causes the efficiency of the air conditioning systems to go crazy in the cost. But if we could get, when the air cools off a little bit, the temperature, make sure that we're using those. But I again think anything we could do to make this classroom safer and parents feel that their kids are being safe in the classroom. I know it's kind of a large expense, but I mean, if we have the funds, I know they're earmarked, you just gave us the budget error of what the COVID funds are earmarked for, but if we could find any way to put in, you know, in the areas, especially maybe the lower grades where the kids are probably less likely to keep masks on or whatever, so that we could.
During ESS, did we have any air purifiers or any? So my rec center, when I was on council, our rec center opened and they immediately went out and just bought fans, just regular fans to circulate the air. And we had 60 kids in our summer program and, you know, we stayed open. We didn't have any, you know, we just had fans. So I don't know. I'm just like, for me, I'm just like, I have a lot of information and I'm trying to figure out, is this a little appliance that we really need? Or is it something that we can be used something else, you know, just regular $20 fans at the Walmart, you know, to blow air around? I don't know.
And unfortunately, I'm not an air quality
I know
expert.
you're not.
I mean, we could maybe ask for the county office to send some people from the JPA out that might have a better air quality education and maybe help bring something back to you guys. If you want us to bring something back like that, we may be able to reach out to Santee. They do have the systems. And if you want a comparison of, I guess, how many classrooms are closed in Santee, I guess that's kind of what you're asking, Don, like, how do we know if they're
I
working?
mean, so are they having less of an outbreak with fans? Because we all have the same rules regarding masks. Do they have, you know, but there's so many other variables. It's so hard to control all the different variables. So you can't just pinpoint one, you know, but.
Yeah, we, all of the school districts that have these in place have absolutely sent kids home because we still have to follow those close contacts rules. We have this very complicated decision tree that we follow, and it is not say in there, was there an air purifier in the room? Okay, great, kids can stay. It doesn't matter if there was or there wasn't. If a kid's, you know, within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more in a 24-hour period, we have to send them home to quarantine. So that part won't change, unfortunately.
I think it's something that I would want more information for before I would want to spend money that we know that has already been earmarked for something that we know will help, even though it is down the road for a long run. So maybe we can get some more information next month.
We can work on it.
That
Yeah, no, I think we need some more information, and also maybe how it would impact our maintenance staff and their job and what they might have to do to maintain those filters in the purifiers.
Could the site custodians do that like in the evening after 6 months? I know it's adding another task.
Well, right now your custodial staff is maxed out because remember, they're doing additional COVID disinfecting every single day on top of their normal jobs. So I think to ask your custodial staff would just be probably too much. The disinfecting that they're doing every single night on top of their normal cleaning is pretty extensive. So it would definitely fall into your maintenance department that they would have to do it. I mean, when you get these units, there's multiple filters within the unit. They all are wrapped in plastic. It's not take out of the box and plug it in. So you can't rely on somebody that hasn't been at least trained on what they're looking for. If they're not removing the plastic wrapping around the filter, then the unit's not even working. So that's kind of what I'm worrying about right now, hearing that there might be some out there. I need to make a visit to the site and just get a look at the units to see if they were actually, you know, I guess, commissioned correctly, that the plastic was taken off the filters and that they are working right if they're going to have those in those rooms. So I'll make a visit up to the schools the next couple of days.
I also heard that placement in the room matters.
It's very important. The placement in the room. I mean, if you stick it by the door and you leave the door open on a cool morning, now you're doing air changes for the outside world. So when we talk about air changes, keeping doors closed, and people are saying that they want doors open, if you leave the door open, now you're doing your air change isn't just happening within that space. So now you're introducing outdoor air in there, which it is somewhat recommended on cool days. But now you're going to use this filtering system that's going to be filtering the outdoor air as well as. I think it needs to be a little more thought out before you probably move forward with it.
Thank you, Todd. Aaron?
Thank you, guys.
All right. Back to my agenda here. Okay, so we've got the first reading, Board Policy 6170.1 about transitional kindergarten. Anybody want to talk about that one? Seems pretty straightforward,
Just aligning with law.
right? Also, the first reading for Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 7211 for developer fees. Again, just aligning with what we need to do. And we also had the first reading of Board Bylaw 9320, meetings and notices. Okay, so we can bring those back, Lisa. Erin, we've got the enrollment report.
Okay, so tonight, this is not an official end of period enrollment report, but we did give the board a snapshot of where we were on the 10th day of school, which was September 1st. We had on that date 4,522 students enrolled. And unfortunately, that is a decline of about 143 kids over the same exact day last school year. The most significant declines are at Riverview and Winter Gardens schools, as well as both of our middle schools.
Thank you. We also had a revision of the LCAP.
Yeah, I can speak to that one. So part of the LCAP rules are once the board approves it, we did that back in June, the county office of education has review and approval process that they go through. So they came back to us at the end of August and asked us to make a couple of very minor just clarification items. An example I can give you is that on a particular line item, there was no cost, and in the cost column we had it blank, and instead they wanted us to put zeros with a dollar sign. So very minor things. So that update was included in the board packet, and it's also now the revised version is posted on our website as required. So that's all. Kim and I worked on that together, but just it was very quick, very minor corrections.
Thank you. Is Carrie Strong in the room, in the Zoom room? Okay. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, everybody. Here I am. Good evening. Well, your LTA members have had quite the start to the school year, like everybody else. And we just want to reiterate that we know how important our schools are in our communities. We are so proud to be part of this community, and we're really grateful for the support of all of our families. And we're very happy to be back with our kids in school. I do want to express over the last month, LTA has had many conversations with our leaders about a wide variety of concerns. And while we don't always agree on the solution for the problem, I can say confidently that our members' voices have been heard and considered this last month. And I appreciate this type of start to the school year, even when I know how many concerns you all are receiving and new tasks and mandates that our district is having to adapt to right now. I do recognize the time that our leaders have taken to work with LTA to begin to find solutions. So thank you for that. Tonight, the LTA sunshined our opening proposal for the school year, as well as our demand to bargain a side letter for the implications of AB 130, which has changed how the district and in turn our teachers are required to run the independent study programs to now include students who are at home quarantining. I encourage you, if you haven't already, stop by your school offices and check out how much additional work this has created for our office staff and our teachers. They are doing an amazing job but the way that it's going right now is not sustainable workload for the school year. So coming up with another solution together with the district is going to be critical. So that's part of our main reason for putting in that demand to bargain. Our bargaining team is currently ready to meet with the district, and we are working on setting up the dates. We have big concerns, like many of our community members and our administrators, about COVID safety and air quality and the lack of substitutes that are available to our district. This is a very real issue we are facing. It's not being over dramatized at all. It's directly impacting our instruction with our students. And a high quality and safe work environment for your staff, just as a nice reminder, also means the same for your students. So thank you for listening to the concerns as they come up and for taking them seriously. On another note, we are pretty proud in LTA. We have almost 100% of our certificated employees as members. And this is a huge benefit to our district. CTA, because we are part of LTA, we're also part of CTA, and CTA provides us with unparalleled professional development opportunities, like the New Teachers Conference for teachers who've been teaching for less than 5 years, Special Education Educators Conference, Good Teaching Conference, as well as a plethora of other professional development workshops throughout the year. Last year, many professional development opportunities were canceled or stifled due to COVID, but CTA was able to continue to provide these via their virtual pass program. Our Lakeside teachers participated in these conferences last year, and this year, the majority of the conferences have also been moved to be held virtually, and I'm confident that our teachers are also going to participate this year. Our membership as LTA members provides this benefit to our district, which is great because historically in the last few years, our district hasn't been able to send our teachers to big professional development education conferences like maybe we once were able to before. So not only are these conferences affordable, they're discounted rates for our members, but it's actually really quality learning. It's definitely not a waste of time. And I hear rave reviews about the instructional practices and ideas that our teachers have got from these conferences. So I just wanted to share that little bit with you, that that's something that kind of goes on behind the scenes with LTA and CTA and supporting the actual instruction that our teachers are doing in our district. I'm really proud of our teachers for seeking that professional growth on their own time. And I think it really shows what lifelong learners they are. So that's my report for tonight. And as always, please reach out to me. I'm very happy to meet with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And we have David right here in the room.
What is this bizarre? So I have to say, thank you, trustees.
Let us not meet you just a minute. So they can hear it.
Let's see you too. Well, yeah, but I don't want to see me. Well, it may not be as interesting as Carrie, but. So, welcome trustees. This is my first in-person meeting in the board meeting. I get to be here. So welcome, Rhonda, Kim, Aaron, Lisa. Thanks for having me. I'm not going to be as fast as Carrie because, of course, as you all know, I never write anything down, but I did write a few things down. So we'll move on that. First of all, after hearing a lot of the air quality issues that a lot of people have that has been brought up, I first want to say our department, and myself included, have been out on roofs changing air filters and cleaning air conditioning all week long. And it hasn't been real cool. It's just, it's been miserable, but that's what we do. So we're here and we're happy to do this. So another thing I want to talk about a few things. Our ESS program has been, they've done and I wasn't here to listen to Jared, but they've done a great job over the summer. They've only had a few COVID cases in students, and I think they have one in staff. And to be able to do that for the whole summertime of their program, I think that's great. So following the protocols and keeping that online and just being safe, that's been fantastic. Another thing I wanted to say is that after listening to Cesar with with a lot of calcified people, I'm sorry, certificated people, and the absences, I want to thank our classified people for showing up. This is our bus drivers that pick up our kids every day to bring them to school. We don't get subs for bus drivers. These people show up every day to bring kids to school. Our food service people. I mean, it's hard to start rearranging people to get the needs met at every school. That's fantastic. And I just want to give a big shout out. I mean, we all work very hard. I'm not discounting anybody because it takes a team. So we are part of the team. Our teachers are part of the team. We want to get our students to school for an education, and we want to get them home safely all the way around. Told you I wrote things down this time. So I also want to thank all the new classified people that have shown up this year. We've done a lot of hiring. We've done a lot of moving around. I've been involved in a lot of interviews for a lot of different departments, and it's been challenging to fill a lot of our positions. So that's another thing that I want to say thanks to. I know Cesar touched on a lot of our certificated people, but we've hired a lot of classified people as well. So thank you very much. And I think that's it.
Thank you, David.
I have something personal for tonight. No updates. You already got to hear me talk about the budget. I think you all know that I have given notice of my intent to resign because I have been offered a new position with the San Marcos Unified School District, but it's still pending their board approval. So although it's not official yet, this will likely be my last board meeting. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank the board for the opportunity to work here and for all of the support that you've given me during the last 6 years. Lakeside is a very special place, and there will be tears next week, I'm sure, when I leave. I just wanted to wish the staff and the community all the best in the future. So thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we wish you the best, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything, Erin.
Thank you, Erin. Dr. Reed?
So I just want to tell you about, I won't tell you everything that Ed Services is doing, but I do want to let you know about an upcoming event. We have our first district-wide professional learning community meeting coming up. And in that meeting, we're bringing teachers together from across the district by grade level. Those teachers are working on administration protocols for our first district-wide performance tasks. So I want to just take a minute to explain why this is so important. We give CASP assessments and we give MAP assessments, and those kind of look at students, you know, their ability to kind of regurgitate knowledge onto a test. What we're doing now is we're providing kids an opportunity to look at a novel task, something that they've never seen before, and apply all of the learning that they've had up until this point to this novel new task. It includes our student profile. It includes the 21st century skills, and then just a deep understanding, not a superficial understanding like sometimes our CASP asks for, but a deep understanding of their learning. I'm super excited about it. Our teachers have done a phenomenal job creating these with the understanding that they are not perfect. There will be multiple iterations. They're not perfect, but they're pretty darn good. So they're going to come together at our district-wide PLC. They're going to have same grade level, but cross-site conversations about the protocols for administering that assessment. And then we're going to assess, and we'll pull that data together and not look at that data to give report card scores, but look at our student samples of student work to really understand what students are able to do. So I'm really excited about this work. I don't want you to think that it's just a performance task. It's really a pivotal change in our district. And it's really focusing on transfer of learning as opposed to just, our old school kind of learning, the kind of learning that I did. One more thing, it's a little bit personal too. I went, I had an opportunity, I had a couple of vacation days. So I went out to visit my family in Oklahoma. And so my mom and sister and brother, and we were all at a roping, as we call it. And while we were there, this gentleman walked up to me. He had heard from my dad that I was from California. So he came up to me. This gentleman his name is Butch LeMay. He's a 3-time world champion bronc rider. So he walks up to me and says, I hear you're from California. Do you know where Lakeside is? I was like, yes, I do. So of all the rodeos that this guy has attended to qualify for the world finals, to win the world finals 3 times, he wanted to know if I knew where Lakeside was. So that was pretty darn cool. I just wanted to tell you about that. I'd love to share that with the Stadium Association. It was pretty awesome. It's on the 15th. It's virtual. Virtual. But I can send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link. I'd like to.
Would you all like the links? Okay, so there'll be different links for each grade level.
Yeah.
So you'll just kind of need to choose. We'll put an agenda together and you can click on to choose whichever one you want to drop into. Happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Taylor.
Okay, so I just want to welcome all of our new employees, classified. Let's try again. Yeah, okay. So I wanted to welcome all of our new employees, classified and certificated. We're so happy that you're here with the Lakeside team. And I can't believe that it's only been 15 days of school, because when I'm out on school sites, we've already done so much. But when I'm out on school sites, the students are already into their routines and they're learning and they know exactly what they're doing. The teachers are into their routines and it looks like it's just been going on for quite a while. So I've been visiting the schools. I've been able to see crew at the middle schools. So if you haven't been able to see the crew program yet, it's really, really cool. So get out and see some crew. Our back to school nights, we've had a couple of them. Riverview's had theirs, and Lakeview, I attended theirs last night, and they've had a pretty good turnout. But what I really appreciate is how the teachers are stepping up to make these virtual back to school nights so personal for the parents. And so they have done a really great job. I'm looking forward to the back to school nights to come. I just have to say a big thank you to everybody. I cannot believe we pulled off the floats in that rodeo. It was only 10 days, after school started, and the planning that goes into that and pulling it all together amidst everything else that we had going on, just getting everything up and running. So to the principals, the parents, the kids, the teachers, everybody that worked the stands, the Stadium Association is so important to us and to our community. And I'm just glad that so many people came out to support it. And it was just fun to see people at the rodeo having a good time and just enjoying life, which we haven't been able to do a lot lately. So it was very, very nice. I do want to acknowledge that our school sites have had a large burden placed on them due to the COVID and the independent studies. It was much, the work around the independent study contracts was much more than we thought it was more cumbersome than we thought it was going to be. So we are listening, we are streamlining things to the best of our ability while still complying with the state mandates. And I just want to thank everybody. When I walk in the offices, I know that everyone is stressed, but the big smile that I get from the office staff and from the teachers, and they're still bringing their A game every single day. So I just want to thank our incredible staff and everybody. As I say all the time, everybody has a role here, and not one role is not more important than another. We're all part of a team that makes it work. So that's it for me, and thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything? And this meeting is adjourned.